da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Hey guys, it's your boy LaFinchy here, where I talk about all things history. Now, I'm going to talk about a country. So, I'm going to talk about the Papal States. So let's get into it. So, what was the Papal States? Well, the Papal States was a series of territories in central Italy that was under the direct rule and administration of the Pope and Roman Catholic Church. The Papal States was formed in the year 754 by Pope Stephen II, replacing the Duchy of Rome, which was formed by the Byzantine Empire. The nation would go on for 1,000 years until in 1870, under the rule of Pius IX, the papacy was fully annexed and absorbed into the Kingdom of Italy. Let's go on with a little history. So, from its birth in the 1st century, all the way to 1313 AD, the Catholic Church was largely oppressed and persecuted by the Roman Empire. And then finally in 313, Emperor Constantine was around and was like, nah, I'm totally cool with Jesus. So Rome tolerated the Church's strange beliefs until their death in 476. After the collapse of Rome, some other countries ruled over Rome. Just after the collapse of the Roman Empire, the Ostrogoths, a Germanic tribe, went over and ruled Italy, even forming a kingdom there. Then after, the Byzantines took control. There was also the Lombards, but we're not going to focus on them. We're talking about the Byzantines. Now, over time, the Byzantines set up puppet states in Italy. One of them was the Duchy of Rome. Now that two of them don't actually have flags, so these aren't the actual flags, so don't get fooled. The Duchy of Rome was there until 754, when ta-da! The Papal States was established. That means now the Catholic Church has direct rule over central Italy. Now let's look at some events during its lifetime. In the year 800, 46 years after the birth of the Papal States, which, by the way, its capital is in Rome, the Holy Roman Empire starts. You know, with Charlemagne and all that stuff. If you want to look at the birth of the Holy Roman Empire in a bit more detail, go to my first video on the foundation of the Holy Roman Empire. I'll provide a link in the description. Fast forward to the year 1177, 423 years after birth, the Treaty of Venice is signed, which deems the Papal States separate from the Holy Roman Empire. As you can notice, I added some seals representing countries other than the Papal States, Venice, and the Holy Roman Empire. I added France, England, and the Byzantine Empire. Now let's go to 1309, 555 years after her birth. Oh cool, those numbers match. The Avignon papacy is formed, and thus the Papal States has Avignon surrounded by the French province of Provence. Now we go to 1455, 701 years after birth, which is around the time the Renaissance begins. During this period, the Papal States will get involved in many conflicts and treaties. Back in 1376, the Avignon papacy is abolished, but they still keep the land of Avignon. And I'll also update you on the map I made. So, I've also heard the Holy Roman Empire becomes more decentralized, which means that Florence, Milan, Genoa, Austria, Bohemia, Brandenburg, and Burgundy are shown as independent. And also the Commonwealth is formed. Denmark essentially controls all of Scandinavia, and the Ottoman Empire takes rule after abolishing the Byzantine Empire. Now, because the Ottoman Empire won't have a coat of arms until 1882, to symbolize the Ottoman Empire, I'll be using the tugra of the Sultan currently in charge. A tugra is like a monogram for an Ottoman Sultan. Every Sultan had one. This one is of Mehmed the Conqueror. And, as you can see, the coat of arms of Hungary, France, Castile, and England have changed. The year is now 1517, 763 years after birth. The Protestant Reformation begins. That means countries like England, Brandenburg, Sweden, and a northern bit of the Holy Roman Empire hate the Catholic Church, while countries like the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, France, Austria, Savoy, unified Spain, Portugal, all love the Catholic Church now, and there are just countries like the Ottoman Empire and the Grand Duchy of Moscow that just don't care, because they're in their own little religions. With the Protestant Reformation, the power of the Catholic Church severely diminishes. Let's go to 1754 now. That is a 1,000 years after birth, and that's basically what it is, 1,000 years. Nothing else really interesting happens, but in 1663 was around the time when Louis XIV of France annexed Avignon. So, that happened. But also, let's go around the map. So, Tuscany and Naples appear. Mehmed I is in rule. The Russian Empire exists now, and Denmark and Sweden are separate. I also added, and the Dutch now have their own nation. The Holy Roman Empire becomes more decentralized, with Württemberg, Bavaria, Saxony and Hanover are being shown as independent. The Austrian Empire and Prussia are here, and that's basic. And also Sardinia, Piedmont. Yeah, so that's basically my update on the map. We jump forward is 1798, 1044 years after its inception. Earlier on in the decade, the French Revolution just happened, and the Directory's in charge. They are offensing and currently creating puppet states, like the Batavian Republic and the Cisalpine Republic. In 1798 that year, the French occupied the Papal States, its northern territories given to the Cisalpines, while a new puppet state is formed called the Roman Republic. This is short-lived, as in June 1800, the Papal States returns. But, to 1809, 1055 years after its birth. Before, we'll just go back to June of 1800. As you know, Napoleon took charge and is currently conquering Europe, installing many puppet states like the Kingdom of Italy, the Confederation of the Rhine, and the Duchy of Warsaw. Also, he restored the Papal States. This is all fine until 1808, when Napoleon himself invades the Papal States, and in the 17th of May, 1809, the Papal States is annexed into the French Empire. It won't gain independence until after the Napoleonic Wars. 1870, which is 1116 years after its birth. Unfortunately, this year will be its last year, as the Papal States will be annexed by Italy, the Kingdom of Italy. They finally united, like a few years ago. You can also see that the Bonapartes are back with the Second Empire after the July monarchy under the House of Orleans. You can see that Belgium and the Netherlands have formed. Prussia has racked up enough land to proclaim the North German Confederation. And alas, the Papal States is no more. 1800s, after the Papal States was absorbed into the Kingdom of Italy, Pope Pius IX did not recognize Italian rule over Rome and refused to leave the Vatican complex. The last ruler of the Papal States, which was Pope Pius IX, was often referred to as the prisoner in the Vatican. This would go on into the late 1800s and even to the 1920s, long after Pope Pius died. This won't be solved until February 1929, when the Lateran Treaty is signed between the Kingdom of Italy and the Holy See. The treaty is signed by the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Benito Mussolini. Yes, that guy. And Cardinal Secretary of State Pietro Gasparri. This treaty, which would be put into effect about 3 months later, in the 7th of June, 1929, would proclaim the independence of the tiny city-state of the Vatican City, which still exists to this day. With its history sorted out, before I end the video, let's just talk about other things. Its population in 1853 was 3.1 million people. That's quite a lot. We will also be talking about its currency. Before 1866, its currency was the Roman scudo, which one of their coins looked like this. However, in the 4-year period between 1866 to its annexation in 1870, it used a different currency called the lira. One of their coins looked like this. Thanks for watching my video on the Papal States. Please like and subscribe and share this video with all of your friends. And click the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that I upload. This is LaFinchy signing out. All things history. Peace.